Hey guys, how you going? Okay, I wanted to thank Michael and Shannon because I did forget to thank them earlier today. And I'm going to look into this. This is from the Smithsonian Mag. This new burial technique turns a corpse into a tiny pile of freeze-dried fertilizer. Now, I looked into this a few years ago. The videos were taken down because my channel was taken down. But yeah, I'm gonna read these to you. In the future, wills may include specifications for the type of flower or bush we'd like to fertilize rather than the make of a coffin or urn. Okay, is this how they're selling it? You know, the shortage with fertilizer at the moment? Wonder if there's a reason. Even the most environmentally friendly burials have drawbacks. Ground burial takes up precious real estate. Cremation endangers crematoria workers who can breathe in poisonous fumes. But a new burial method called premation solves the problems of both space and pollution. This technique, Wired reports, involves dipping a body into liquid nitrogen, vibrating it into thousands of tiny pieces and freeze-drying the resulting powder. Buried in the ground a few short months, the powder will turn into human fertilizer, helping flowers or trees to grow. The Swedish company behind the idea, Promessa, has raised $3.2 million in funding over the past 12 years, Wired says. Now, the date on this was October the 15th, 2013. Okay? All the tests have been completed thanks to a large supply of dead pigs. Yeah, right. Which were placed in coffins, frozen, physically broken down, dried and buried in the earth with great success. Human testing is still illegal. That's why they say they used pigs. They say that. Still, Promessa has received queries from interested parties in around 60 countries and was voted the most promising innovation company in Sweden. If such interest continues, in the future, wills could include specifications for the type of flower or bush we'd like to fertilise rather than the make of coffin or urn. Okay, and that was by Rachel Newer. Okay, I'm going to have a look at a couple more. Okay, guys, then I found something really interesting. The Yahoo News says it's now legal to liquefy a dead body in California, but lead stories fact check US states are not liquefying the dead. Okay, so you've got that. Okay, what is let's look at the Yahoo News. It is now, they say it's now legal to liquefy a dead body in California. This is Yahoo News back in October the 17th, 2017. On Sunday, California Governor Jerry Brown passed AB 967, an innocuously named bill for a not-so-innocuous law. The bill proposed by Assembly member Todd Gloria, a San Diego Democrat, will make it legal for Californians to liquefy their corpses after death in a bath of caustic juice. The process, referred to as water cremation or aquamation, resumation, biocremation or flameless cremation, has been proposed as much more environmentally friendly to dispose of a body after death. This bill is sponsored by Guico Inc., a sustainable cremation company. That doesn't really tell me much about where it's going to go after that. Okay, coffins take up a lot of space. Okay, sorry guys, there's a baby crying in the background. Okay, this one does not say anything about using it as fertilizer, but we have progressed. This story from the National Review says turning our dead into fertilizer. Oregon is the third state to legalize the composting of human bodies, called natural organic reduction, as a means of disposition of remains. From the KOIN story, Oregon Governor Kate Brown signed House Bill 2574 Tuesday, and this was in June 17th, 2021. The bill will legalise what's known as natural organic reduction, or what some refer to as human composting. It also clarifies rules surrounding alkaline hydrolysis, known as aquacremation. The law goes into effect the 1st of July 2022. Aquacremation is liquefying remains to be poured down the sewer. Supposedly composting the dead is a way of honouring the environment. Fournier hopes having the option of natural organic reduction readily available in Oregon will be a desirable option for many people. This is Oregon. People love their parks, people love their trails, people love their nature, people love their composting, and that idea that somebody can become a tree, really? I think that's really thrilling for people to know that their remains can actually help the environment, she said. Yeah, you may love your parks and trails and nature and composting, but I don't think you need to use humans for it. Okay, that may be just me. This seems very different from cremation, a practice that's been with us for thousands of years. Cremation is usually carried out with great respect. People place the urns of loved one in cemetery niches, in home shrines, or respectfully scattered at sea or in rose gardens. Yes, the cremated end up in closets too. I know that some faiths oppose cremation because it's perceived as denigrating to the importance of the body and the totality of the human person. To say the least, being turned into compost or sewage takes that issue to a wholly different level. Look, I'm not against legalising these means of disposition, but it strikes me that pouring our dead down the sewers or turning them into a form of fertiliser tells us something about our view of human life and its meaning. Indeed, these methods send a powerful symbolic statement that we are essentially nothing more than carbon atoms gathered temporarily in a rational and animated form, here today, gone tomorrow, without so much as a trace to mark that we ever existed, or ultimately that it mattered. At some point, why not? Soylent Green as people. That would be the ultimate in environmentally body recycling. Hyperbole aside, to say the least, this trend is not metaphysically neutral. It tells us something about the current state of our culture. Okay, let me see if I can find more. Okay, even NBC News states composting of human bodies now legal in Washington State. When was this? 2019. Ashes to ashes, guts to dirt. Governor Jay Inslee signed legislation Tuesday making Washington the first state to approve composting as an alternative to burying or cremating human remains. Okay. Now it goes through, obviously. Who was this? He said the legislation was inspired by his neighbour Katrina Spade, who was an architecture graduate student at the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. When she began researching the funeral industry, she came up with the idea for human composting, modelling it on a practice farmers have long used to dispose of livestock. Okay, let me come back to you. Okay, and this one is from the newsinfo.inquirer.net. Washington legalises human compost for use as fertiliser. And they just happen to show you a vegetable garden. Hang on. Gardens may soon teem with vegetables, fruits, flowers grown with fertiliser from human compost after Washington State legalised the recomposition of people's remains as an alternative to cremation of burial, AFP. Now, the other articles do not say that it'll be used for this, okay? But you know where this goes. Los Angeles, United States. Washington on Tuesday became the first state to legalise human composting after its eco-friendly governor signed a bill into that effect in a bid to cut carbon emissions from burials and cremations. Under the new law that will go into effect in May of next year, people who die in the state will have the option to have their bodies transformed into soil suitable for use in gardening in a process called recomposition. Recomposition offers an alternative to embalming and burial or cremation that is natural, safe, sustainable, and will result in significant savings in carbon emissions and land usage, said Katrina Spade, who seems to be the head of all this, who lobbied for the law and is the founder of Compost, a Seattle-based company set to be the first to offer the service. Of course, the head of the company who wants to offer the service is going to lobby for it. Yeah. The idea of returning to nature so directly and being folded back into the cycle of life and death is actually pretty beautiful, Spade added in a statement sent to AFP. She said she became interested in the process about 10 years ago after turning 30 and thinking more about her own mortality. I just don't know. What about you? Oh, Spade then began examining the technical aspects of creating an environmentally friendly third option that could compete with the $20 billion US funeral industry, which offers conventional burial and cremation. Her approach, developed with Washington State University, which did clinical trials with donor bodies, calls for a dead person to be placed in a hexagonal steel container filled with wood chips, alfalfa, and straw. The container is then shut and the body is decomposed by microbes within 30 days. The end product is a dry, fluffy, nutrient-rich soil resembling what one would buy at a local nursery and suitable for vegetable gardens. Oh dear. Everything, including bones and teeth, is recomposed. Oh my goodness, Spade said that's because our system creates the perfect environment for thermophilic, i.e. heat-loving microbes and beneficial bacteria to break everything down quite quickly. The process used by Compost is the same as that used for decades with farm animals, and the clinical trials carried out by the University in Washington found it was also safe for use with humans. Socially acceptable materials. We have found that the essential methods that we use for livestock mortality composting are also effective for human disposition, said Dr. Lynn Carpenter-Boggs, a professor of soil science at Washington State University. We have substantially changed the materials used to be socially acceptable, but the basic principles that we've learned from livestock mortality composting are very effective for the human research subjects that we used. Again, oh dear. According to statistics, more than 1 in 2 Americans opt for cremation. In Washington State, nearly 75% of people choose that option. Spade expects her company to charge some $5,500 for a natural organic reduction, an amount a little bit over the price of cremation but less than the price of burial in a casket. So they make $5,500 and then they make more money on selling it as fertilizer, is that right? Okay, her innovation comes as so-called green or earth-friendly burials are gaining traction in the United States, where companies are now offering original caskets or a burial in which the body is wrapped in a simple shroud in towns that allow it. The actor Luke Perry, star of the hit series Beverly Hills 90210, who died in March, was buried in a biodegradable suit made partly out of mushrooms as he requested. The so-called mushroom suit was developed by, I don't know how to say that, a California startup that said the attire helps the body decompose, neutralizes toxins found in the body, and transfers nutrients to plant life. Okay, see this bit here? Now I'm wondering, what about people on medication and things? Wouldn't that leach into the soil and plants? Just a thought. But not everyone is enthusiastic about turning bodies into garden variety soil, notably the Catholic Church, which has denounced recomposition as undignified. The Catholic Church believes that disposing of human remains in such a manner fails to show enough respect for the body of the deceased. Joseph Sprague executive director of the Washington State Catholic Conference, said in a letter to the Legislative Committee that examined the bill signed on Tuesday. Oh dear. Should I react? Oh dear, 100%. Said angry. There you go. Wow. Very interesting. Let me see what else I can find on this subject. Okay guys, the only other thing I could really find on this is the thinking of using human poop and human waste as fertilizer. So anyway, you can let me know what you think of all this down below, but I remember reading something years ago, which I can't find the one I actually was reading years ago, but it was quite disturbing to me. You might feel a different way. Let me know down below. Okay guys, have a good morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.